Spirit flow, spirit flow. Before I continue with this lesson, I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah, Quadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, great millstone, and peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. I'm the brother lawyer, coming back with a quick lesson. And this lesson will be entitled Spirit Flow. Yeah. So right here, what came to mind was 1 John 2. All right. And based off of a conversation that I had with a coworker, he's a Christian, but I believe he's an Israelite foreigner. And we have certain conversations. I work with him a lot. The manager like to put us together, which we are the same position, but he's been there a little bit longer and he has a little bit more experience. So certain jobs that come up, he run those jobs. I may do the cleaning depending on what it is, or, vice versa, because he be having, certain elements going on with him. So sometimes, he help out a lot, but sometimes you got to sit down and be like, hey, bro, I'll take over. I know your situation. I'll take over. But anyway, us in this truth, us Hebrew Israelites, so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, and Hispanics, the ones of us that know that we're Israel, the Lord had it to where we overcame the wicked one, the philosophies of this world. So this is what this is really going into. All right. That's why it's just entitled Spirit Flow. And I had to pause because really I couldn't put the title. I don't like really putting the titles up and then I'll say I'm gonna name the title this and then it end up being something else different. So yeah, this is going into philosophies of the world. Might be called Spirit Flow, philosophies of the world, or we have overcome the philosophies of the world. So this is 1 John 2. Now starting at 18. No, was it 18? Lost my place. No, 14. Let's write 14. I said right. Let's start at 14. And this is the NLT version. It says, I have written to you who are God's children. We know that the real word for children, it ain't no Hebrew word for that. But is bun, sons, And so it says, or Bunyamin, children or sons. All right. It says, I have written to you who are God's children because ye know the Father. I have written to you who are mature in the faith because you know Mashiach, who existed from the beginning. And then let me see how it is written. It says, I have written to you who are young in the faith because you are strong. God's words live in your heart and you have won your battle with the evil one. And so so that's why, the Spirit was on me to get this version, because in the King James Version says you have overcome the wicked one. How have you done that? By the Lord bringing you into the truth and you're understanding, And so, you have overcome the wicked one, us in this truth that worship and call upon Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, that believe in the doctrine of the MOTB being the microchip. Because you know what? Where's it say that at? Was it John? Give me 1 second. Yeah, it ain't John 7:16. It's John 7:16. It says Yahweh Shai. No. Let me get the full chapter. Because it starts with you believing in this doctrine, which is not of man. Niggas think that, and it's not of man, And we even had a little discussion about there in the truck, because to be honest, the real reason why I'm able to deal with him is because he's not as bad as other Christians. You can have a cordial conversation, or he agree on a handful of stuff that is doctrine, or the doctrine that we teach. He just think I'm messianic, Jewish. You know what I'm saying? And so or not Jewish, but Messianic, Judaism, or whatever, because he was like, are you Messianic? And I was like, what you mean? Like the first time I met him, he was like, you don't eat pork, you talk about Old Testament laws. He's like, I know some Messianic, people, and like, do you seem like them? And I was like, yeah, just beguile them. That's all you gotta do. But anyway, yeah, we had a conversation, and it was just some stuff about old Christianity doctrine. What he say? Something about Satan and 200 angels or something being cast out into the what he say? Not the pit, the second death or hell or some shit. And I was just like, bro, this is bullshit. This is complete bullshit. And so, he has an understanding of, the Satan taking orders from the Lord. He know all that, but how you gonna get so-called kicked out of heaven, and then all of a sudden you taking orders from the Lord? How the fuck does that work? No, that didn't happen. That doesn't make sense. Anyway, so yeah, you gotta believe in the doctrine. Sorry, I didn't mean to rant, but just expressing some of the shit that I gotta, I choose to deal with it. Sometimes it just comes out. And, he listened to a lot of music in the truck, but shit, if I can, have a conversation somewhat about some truth and some scriptures, that's what I'm going to do, and it makes time go by fast and it's more interesting, but, he fuck with me, and he helps you with a handful of stuff, but anyway, let's get on John 7. Where was it at? Right here. John 7 and 16. Yahushua answered them, talking to the southern kingdom at that time that was in the land, so-called Jews. Well, they are, the tribe of Judah. All right. And Benjamin Levi consists of that. But anyway, it says, Yahushua answered them and said, my doctrine is not mine, but his that sent me. If any man will do his will, he shall know of the doctrine, whether it be of God or whether I speak of myself. And so with Christianity, Buddhism, Muslim, Zafarianism or whatever, Rastafarianism, all this is of man speaking of himself. Are they using scriptures and so forth? Yeah. Every religion branches off the Israelites. It do. They have their own story, their own so-called Messiah or something like that, but they don't have an end. The Bible tells you the end. Then when we tell you, you don't want to believe that. We're not speaking of ourselves, if that's what y'all think, but y'all been blinded. So y'all gonna think that, you ain't overcome the wicked one. He got y'all in control. You don't understand who the people of the Lord is. You think everybody gonna be saved. America ain't gonna be destroyed. You would know. But all this, is looking like it's coming to pass for sure. This word ain't gonna go out void. And I'm gonna get there too. And so give me 1 second. Isaiah 55:11. So shall my word be that go forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereunto I sent it. So you're going to prosper when this Lord has entered into you. I said this Lord, I meant word. Damn. But that's what's happening. You letting Yahushua sup with you, And so when you let this word sup with you, you're ultimately going to prosper. You're going to become a teacher, if you're set up to do that. That's what you're going to do. Or if you're just a believer, it's going to prosper in your belief. In your, really in your works too. You keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments to the best of your ability. You keeping the Passover to the best of your ability. Like for sure, you eating the unleavened bread for a certain amount of days, and so on and so forth. You ain't having no yeast. You do the best you can. That's you showing, that's you prospering. All right. But anyway, it says, and it's not going to return unto him void. So us teaching this, because it says it's going out of his mouth, which is, his prophets, via his prophets. So this word ain't going to return unto the Lord void. Us going out there preaching and ain't nothing going to happen. The elect going to get sealed is already happening. That's why all this shit is getting ready to happen. Matter of fact, that's Matthew 24:14. It says, in this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations. Make sure the volume cut up. And then shall the end come. So yeah, this word had went forth, like how it says in Romans. I believe it's Romans 10:8. It says, but what saith it? The word is nigh thee, even in thy mouth and in thy heart. That is the word of faith which we preach. Matter of fact, that's the wrong one. No, I think it's on down. Yeah, my bad. It says Romans 10:14. No, let's start at 13. You know what? Let's start at 12. Well, no, because that's going to go into a whole nother topic, which is, the Israelites, being Greeks, Hellenized, the Apocrypha. So that'll be another lesson. But anyway, Romans 10 and 14, it says, how then shall they call on him in whom they have believed, or have not believed, my bad. It says, and how shall they believe in him of whom they have not heard, or how shall they hear without a preacher? So how are the elect going to get sealed? How's the ones that don't know Yahweh Shai, how they going to learn about him? What's his name? Like, who is he? Except they be told about him. So verse 15, and how shall they preach except they be sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel. So those are the ones that's going to teach and have the believers to believe. And they're going to call upon Yahweh Shai. Yep, that's what's going to happen. And it says, and bring glad tidings of good things. And let's keep reading, because it talks about their sound going out throughout the earth. That's what I really wanted. Where is it at? Did I pass it? I thought it was Romans 10, or is it? I know it's not 8. There you go. 18. Damn, did I jump around, or did I didn't read that? Oh, I didn't keep reading down. Salakia. That's what happened. Okay, because I'm like, hold on, it's more to it somewhere. So let's start right here. At 17 says, so then faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. But I say, have they not heard? Yes, verily. Their sound went into all the earth, and their words into the ends of the world. And that's happening via the unicorn. That speaks about in Job, which is his truth. The unicorn represents the satellite dishes. You know what I'm saying? The unicorn got that horn in the middle of his head. That represents like unto the satellites. Yeah. So this word, is being heard of in different countries via the YouTube. That's how our sound is, throughout all the earth. Everybody done heard this word now. Anyway, let's see. Let's go back. And there was something else that I wanted. Let's see. Talking about the sound. It was another one. I think it's Ephesians 5. Because we have been washed. We have been baptized with this truth. No, not King James, 1 John. It's what I say, Ephesians. Damn, Ephesians 5. Come on, phone. Not 55. 5, fool. All right. And was it 15? No, walk circumspectly. Was it 25? 26. I just get the main point. But to read, like to get a context, you got to read up above because he's talking about the church. All right. Like husbands loving your wives, as the Lord loved the church and he gave himself for it. It says that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word. So you being part of the church or you joining into a church, which, Great Millstone, that's what it is. It's a school church. When we out there preaching, that's what church is, or so, not or so, but yeah, so you've been washed by this word. That's what happened. You become that new man that it speaks about, or you're supposed to. But that new man, that old man want to, creep in from time to time. So it says, and really that's really all that I want with that. But yeah, what you have been, you have overcome the wicked one. You've been chosen to overcome the wicked one. So ain't nothing gonna take your crown. You gonna make it all the way through, and that's what you got to think about. Especially the elect. Of course, you got the 1/3 of man, women, and children. You got to think like that, no matter what happens. Even if you get your head put on the guillotine for not taking the mark of the beast, that's a reward. 1 Thessalonians 4 tells you that you're gonna come back. You're gonna be risen first. You're gonna come back with the Lord. That's what it says. I ain't lying to you. So it's worth it. You're gonna be in the forever body. That's what we want. A real body, your body. Not no what it say in Jude? Is it Jude? Not no chains of darkness. These bodies are chains of darkness. So that's gonna be done away with. That's what we want. So Lord will, this is an edifying lesson, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Ruach HaKodesh. Shalom.